Okay, so I'm going to try this again. I am trying to make some adjustments for the lighting in the house and for where I'm sitting, and also I'm not by myself, I'm with my grandson, so he's here. Let me tag some friends. Tag some friends. Tag some friends.
I don't know how many blocks there.
So, tagged a few people just so that they know, hey Anita, I'm going to have a little conversation about what human design is and what human design isn't. But I'm also spending the day with Chatty. I know, but Chatty.
I only have 18 blocks.
Okay. So, first things first. This is like my real life, and so this is what I do in my real life. There's no editing the grandkids out. They exist, they're part of it, and it's really fundamental to understanding some things about human design as well. So I'm going to dive in and just give my perspective. I spend a lot of time studying a lot of things, and I also am a member of several different communities that are focused around human design on a personal level, as well as human design for people who use it as a tool professionally. And so one of the things that I am finding that I see is as people become more aware of human design, they're not really clear on what it does and why it does it. And so I just want to address that, right? So I'm in a human design group, and it's about relationships, which is a huge piece to understand in human design because we operate in communities. We operate in pentas, which are like family units and small work groups, and then we operate in WA, which is like, a collection of small groups becomes a large group, and it really does change and impact energy dynamics. But typically speaking, people want to see human design as a thing, as a what, and it's a how. And I think that's the easiest way to explain it. People want to dive into human design and say, okay, what does my relationship with this person look like? Is this going to work out? Is this person good for me? And that's really not the purpose behind the work in human design. The purpose behind the work is for you to understand yourself and enter into situations correctly, and then you are doing what needs to be done in the situation, regardless of anything else you hear. Now, I fundamentally am a believer that there's no such thing as two astrological signs that can't be together, or two human design profiles that can't be together. I completely do not believe any of that. I 100% believe that any two people who are willing to do the work to look at the things in themselves that the other person brings up for them are people who can work through anything in a relationship. So I hope that that makes sense. I'm all about recognizing yourself in all of this and managing and dealing with yourself and not being concerned with the other people. Human design, Alicia, can you help me make more money in my business? I absolutely can. But I can if you're willing to do the work and learn how to operate in energetic integrity. It's one of those things that it's I'm guiding you, and it's about you stepping fully in. Can human design help you if you are a spiritual entrepreneur and you're willing to do the work and lean into who you are as a human being? Absolutely. But I also work with people who have regular jobs, who have needed assistance because they're struggling in their job. They like their job. They want things to go more smoothly. And so we get into their human design authority and strategy and help them come up with ways to address their environment and how they're approaching it, and help others in their environment approach them in a way that is to their benefit. So it's not just, oh, teach me this thing and I'm going to go turn this dial and I'm going to fix this thing in my life. It's about learning to sit in the energy of who you are and what you're about, and approach things from a holistic perspective, entering into situations and circumstances that are the right ones for you to pick. So here's the big thing, right? If you started to say yes to the yeses and no's to the no's, how much would that actually change your life almost immediately? If you quit saying yes to shit you shouldn't be saying yes to. And that's literally the primary tool that you gain from human design. Learning to follow your strategy and authority, and learning to say yes to the yeses and no to the no's. That's literally the first level of deconditioning, right? Learning to enter into the correct situations in the right way, because there's something to be said for the situation being correct and you not approaching it correctly. That can cause you issues as well. So I don't know, I need to tell you that today. I don't know what else I need to tell you. I'm not at school this week. We have midwinter break. So I'm doing a ton of cleaning of the house and donating of extra stuff and all of that, because I need my outer environment to feel just as peaceful as my inner environment does. And I just wanted to sort of share the perspective. Human design is a system where you learn to understand how you operate energetically as an individual, so that you understand what that means when you're encountering other people. And we're always encountering other people. Our whole life is about encountering other people, whether they're our family, people at work, people at the grocery store, whatever it is. It's helping you understand, centering in, and allowing yourself to be guided by your own intuitive GPS, your magnetic monopole, your inner knowing. I really don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call the thing. I just care that you learn, hey Alexis, how to listen to the thing. And so, yeah, so that's what it is. It's learning how to listen to the inner thing. It's learning how to allow yourself to be guided by your inner guidance and not by your scattered thoughts and the fears that we have been conditioned to believe about whether something's too hard or not right for us, or weigh the pros and cons first, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's just what's important to know. I absolutely have changed everything about my life. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't comfortable. One of the sayings is there's nothing is constant except change. But learning how to approach things from a place of knowing that it's the next right thing, knowing that it's good for you, right? So human design will help you learn and understand the impact of the environment around you and how to work through any roadblocks that you see there. Being in the right environment for you, which quite honestly, through PHS, you can learn about the right environment for you, the right way of eating for you, all of those things. The right environment, unless you're dealing, let's say, with a child who is sick and is having like issues that you would maybe want to look into their PHS to address, honestly, your environment isn't as big of an impact until you're in your 30s. And that's when, if you are not in the right place for you, you're going to feel it so much more. And in saying that, human design, again, being about differentiation, you could be a person who's supposed to be going from place to place, who's not supposed to stay in one place too long. It's all very individual, and it's really, really helpful to understand how your environment impacts you, how the people around you can impact you, how you impact the people around you, and how to know when something is right for you and enter into it correctly. And that's really the meat of what human design does for people. And so I'm going to assume that everyone here in my community is wanting to learn, know, grow, and expand in their ability to be in the right situations, make decisions that are right for them, because how I make my decisions is not necessarily how you'll make yours. And yeah, Alexis, the environment piece is really interesting. And so, without getting into too much of the details of it, for me, my environment is markets internal. And essentially, it's that I can be anywhere because what I do, what I create for me is an internal thing. And me being where I am and people coming to me to work with me is how I'm supposed to really have my impact. So, Alexis, have we done your PHS yet? I feel like we have not. And maybe that's something we need to look into, or maybe you'll be interested in what's coming next, because there is a coming next thing eventually in the near future. But yes, environment, especially age 30 and after, is very, very much impactful for us. And if you are completely in the wrong environment, it's not going to be helpful at all. It's not going to be helpful. And so when I say that, I work with people who, let's say, can't pack up everything and move somewhere. Let's say you're a shores person, and it's natural shores. You might not be in a situation to pick up and move to someplace that has a shore. That just may not be in the cards for you. And so I will help you work through creating that same feeling of shores in your environment to help support you. If you're mountain, that's one that's about oxygen. It's really, mountain is not just about altitude. Mountain impacts you in your perspective. Mountain oriented people are people who tend to be able to, and you're a 6'2", aren't you? You're a 6'2", I think. I'm pretty sure. So mountain is a place where not only does your elevation play a role in how you feel about your surroundings, but mountain people always bring that perspective of being on the mountain. People need to be coming to you on the mountain. You don't come down to talk to the people, if that makes sense. They have to meet you where you are It's about, taking the high road. There's so many things that go into understanding how that mountain plays out for you in your life and your surroundings. So, yeah, it's a thing. It's not just, yeah. And Anita is saying she's artificial shores, which, again, shores is about kind of the shoreline, the horizon, the visual lines, what you see, what you don't see. And you can create shores in a way, like I said, if you can't just move, if you can't, hey, I'm mountains, I'm going to pick up and I'm going to move to Colorado and change my altitude, because that's not on the list of options. I help you work through and understand how to create environment and situations that help you get that. So interestingly enough, mountain people need less oxygen. Clean air, yes, that's a big part of it, but less oxygen. And so one of the interesting things, we're not going to talk about health here because I know, Alexis, both you and Anita are health gurus, so we're not going to discuss this in the context of whether it's good for you or not, but just as an example. One of the things Ra talked about for people who were mountain people was that it would probably be beneficial for them if they couldn't change their altitude to smoke a pack a day, because the more they minimize the oxygen, the better they're going to feel. So we're not discussing that smoking is a terrible thing, and I'm not encouraging people to smoke. I'm just trying to share the analogy of the benefit of less oxygen on a mountain person. So I hope that made sense. Hello, Ngazi. How are you today? Yeah, and so when you think of shores, you think of shorelines. So an artificial shoreline, for example, would be where Central Park meets, I think it's like Fifth Avenue, right? So where the grass ends and the concrete begins could be a shoreline. And you just learn to see shorelines and breaks. Having carpets on hardwood floors, going from one thing to the next, again, creates a shoreline. So it's really, again, learning, once you know what serves you at your highest, figure out how that helps everyone else. Yeah, that your shallow breathing does not surprise me. It does not surprise me at all. And you are moving because you cannot live below sea level anymore. Yes. So a valley person, right, would be completely opposite of a mountain person. They need lots more oxygen. They need to be on the ground floor, where for you, Alexis, you want the penthouse girl. You want to be up as high as you can go. So that's the stuff you get to get a feel for. But often, as with your situation, you recognize that you don't feel good where you are, and you are fortunately in the position that your family can do something about it and wants to do something about it. And so you're going to, right? But if you couldn't, then we could go through different strategies to attempt to address it in the place where you live right now, right? Yeah, I know someone else who I'm not going to name, but now that you're saying that, who has struggled with some serious sinus issues, multiple surgeries, and I know and they know that they're not currently living in an environment that is right for them. And they have an opportunity to actually live in that environment. And they're hesitating for a number of reasons, but maybe I need to have a talk with them about the sinus situation, because perhaps fixing that environment, because they can, will be part of helping heal that other piece, right? Yeah, it is. It's absolutely positively amazing. And so it's me learning this about me and learning this about my family and being in this weird situation, right? So if your market's internal, like I am, essentially, I can live anywhere, right? But I'm in a relationship with someone who is mountains. I'm going to be fine as market's internal if he's in a place that serves him better. And it's interesting how you end up with these right fits in life as well, right? Where he and I have the same eating digestive, one of us is right and one of us is left, but we fundamentally, at a base level, are supposed to be eating the same foods, right? It's really interesting how all of that kind of plays out. So I see Denise has shown up. Hey, Denise. And she and I are going to be having some really good conversations this week. I'm excited about that. So yeah, Ngazi, so when you start getting into the human design process and what it's for and how it helps you, you begin to realize that there are things that we can really do to help shift the energy in our environment in a way that benefits us at core levels. Absolutely, positively. And so Alexis already knows, because she's experiencing it, right? That when she goes places where she's at higher altitudes, she feels better than what she does at home. And maybe we're in a position where we're convincing ourselves, oh, it was so much better because I was on vacation and I was less stressed. Or no, maybe, just maybe, you're not living where the hell you're supposed to be. And if you can't move, then let's talk about how you go about remedying that in a way that makes sense for you, for your environment, for your budget, for the rest of your family, because everyone can't just make the change. And so just, food for thought and helping you understand what human design can do to help serve you, right? And help you up-level your life in a way that makes sense. So for me, again, as John continues to talk about wanting this farm, there are so many ways that he doesn't recognize how beneficial that is for the both of us. I don't care where it is. I really don't. Like, my whole entire vibe of once my youngest daughter is settled at college, where I live isn't important. I will go wherever I need to go to spend time with her, to see her, to do things with her, however I need to figure that part out. But my home base right now is conducive to her finishing high school. Right? So, I wonder if you're direct. See, that would make me now, and I don't guess at Human Design, but being a direct person is a thing, and being in the sunlight is a thing. And there are people who are indirect people who do much better with things with less light. So there are people who are designed to be night owls. But as I was saying, so John is looking for, he wants a farm. What, baby, you want a farm? Let's have a farm. I'm going to be learning about taking care of chickens this year. And so Tina Henderson is in this group. And so I've known her for several years now. And when I owned my insurance agency, Tina actually worked for me at that point in time. We have become great friends. And her calling to share her lifestyle is just huge, right? So she's a city girl who married a guy and they moved out to the country, and she's sort of a city farm girl. It's fantastic. And so she's helping me learn how to incorporate so many of these things into my life. I've always been an avid gardener. Denise is on here. She is my stepmom. She can tell you my dad has driven her crazy gardening. But it's something we got honestly from his mother, so my grandmother, who always had a garden. And my human design, my PHS, is supported by eating locally grown and in-season foods. Well, gee, what better way to get that than to grow most of it myself, right? So it all goes hand in hand, like this lifestyle that I had growing up with a grandmother that gardened, gardening myself, my dad gardening, me falling off the gardening wagon but getting back on the gardening wagon. It makes perfectly good sense to me why this has always been a thing for me, because it is fundamentally supportive of my PHS. So I don't care where we go and where I garden, right? But that I'm able to be in a situation where I can eat more and more and more according to how it serves my body at its highest. So that's the thing, is learning what those things are. And so the next thing I feel like I need to get into then is the financial piece of this. And I have been doing a lot of work on money mindset, financial mindset, calling in cash, what that means, what money really is, how do you support yourself and do all of these things. And so the first thing I'm going to tell you is the divine source is the source of all things. And what we do to call in money is just about us turning knobs on faucets. Turning knobs on faucets. So if you think of the water in the house, right? The water doesn't come from the sink. The sink is just a faucet knob you turn. The water comes from its source, and you turn on the sink and water comes out. Or you turn on the bath or the shower and water comes out. How the knobs we turn allow the flow of money to come to us, but that's not really where the money comes from. And so in doing this work here online, that is one of the areas that I have opened up for flow. In working with the kids at school, it is one of the areas I have opened up for flow. I know what's coming next. Once the gardening and the other items, the living changes. And so one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing, and one of the things that is near and dear to my, hold on. You do? You have 24? That is amazing. You're doing a great job with that. I'm proud of you. So one of those things is having a greenhouse, growing sage, growing lavender, and beekeeping. I already am creating the next phase of my life. I already am creating, what's coming next for me and how that's going to flow and why that's important for me. Speaking of, so, there would be honey, of course, there would be wax to do any number of things. Someone suggested mead with honey, which I think is a fantastic idea. So I've started looking into that. But you look at where does abundance come from? It comes from wherever you're willing to turn that knob. And for me, the more important piece, and the piece that I think hits me in my soul, is doing these things in a way and having a home where I can invite women in to help them learn how to do these things for themselves. And so near me, as an example, there is an organization called the Abigail Ministries that takes young girls who are new mothers, into a live-in dorm-like situation, the mother and the child, teaches them life skills, helps them get their stuff together to be able to live and thrive and be independent. And I could see this as another piece of that, right? Teaching women how to grow some level of food, whether it's just some lettuces or a tomato plant and some lettuces, or whatever it is, whatever it turns out to be, right? Without getting into all of the crazy details that I've already sort of envisioned for myself. Teaching them how to, in very small areas, supplement what they're eating with very fresh, nutritious food. Because what we all know is processed food isn't really food, and it's really not serving our highest good. And so cleaning up what we eat cleans up some of that gunk. Understanding your PHS, understanding how to serve your body better, cleans up some of that gunk. Understanding how your aura operates and stepping into your strategy and your authority for decision making cleans up some of that gunk. This is all about cleaning it all up, and for me it all circles back to human design. And so then I'll take this a step further. So I took the work at the school, really, if Anita wants to call me on it, because sometimes she knows better than I do, right? We have a great time when we work together, and there's something about the combination of us kind of being together and that energy mix and going back and forth and working through and gaining a lot more clarity on what that next step could be. And I wasn't sure whether it's something I should do or not, but we had also had a lot of conversation about what it means to be a 6'2" and what that role model is supposed to look like. And so role modeling is just about being and not about doing. You don't do role modeling, right? It's not like you get on the role model runway and you sashay Shantae and do a little twirl at the end. It's about living in a way that you are showing people what is possible. And again, back to me being Markets Internal, and Markets Internal means I can be in my home and people coming to me, or me being kind of where I am and people coming to me for work. So me having my farm and having people coming to me and taking classes and me teaching them, right? Yeah, Anita, the queen of the sacral punch, because she is, and I mean that in all of the best ways. And so taking this role at this school, because how can anybody see me as a role model if nobody gets to see me? And it turning into something completely different than what I anticipated, it being so good for me being so fulfilled with this piece of the work, this one lever that I decided to turn, right? And it's really, really, and now my hand is itching as I'm talking about turning levers and opening up flows. And you know, the hand itch is a sign of the money. So it's just one of those things where when you start getting out of your own way, entering into the right situations for the right reason, you start opening up those other ways of universal support and abundance to flow to you. And I'm just excited about what's coming next. I know I'm in discussions with Anita about an offer we're going to be doing together. And I think I'm excited about it as I'm supposed to be journaling about it and getting a whole lot of clarity, which I haven't done. But I've been journaling on my resistance to journaling, right? Yes, reach out. She offers the sacral punch and role model support as part of her coaching. She absolutely does. But as we've really come to this place of understanding the tandem that our togetherness provides, we are going to be putting something together to give you the best of both of those things. I know, Anita, I'm gonna get on it. I really am. I actually got really centered. It was easy to have a lot of excuses for journaling while I was traveling. It was. I walked around with my journal, but I never actually sat down and wrote in it. But I did have it on me at all times. And so, it's a place of really, and I mean this from my heart, from my soul, from my inner knowing. It's a place of wanting to see everyone thrive and everyone win. End of discussion. And a piece of that is understanding your human design, your right environment, and how to enter into the right stuff. Human design isn't the whole thing. There's no one thing that's the whole thing, ever. But the amount of clarity you can get in going through the right motions toward the right next step is really important. It's really important. Yeah, Alexis, it has been so interesting, so almost organic in the way that we just get on the phone, get on the chatty chat, and literally fix everything for each other in these conversations, or gain clarity and gain perspective, and each of us bringing a 6-2 perspective, but not the same perspective. Where I'm left, Anita is right. I mean, we really bring some different things, and knowing, like, every time we get on a call and we go through this, all of a sudden, boom, there's clarity and something else is happening, and boom, there's clarity and something else is happening, and us going, well, wait a minute, let's share it. Let's share it. And so, trust me when I tell you, she is the queen of the sacral punch, right? We joke about it, but she has a really unique gift for helping you see things in a way that you're really certain on your response for those things, and asking you questions in a way that gets you past your mindset, and you're giving honest sacral answers. It's something to see. It really is. So that's something we have been talking about, and I haven't done the part that I was supposed to do in this last week, but I promise I will be getting that done, because it's important. It's and I can already feel it. So there's that. What else? Yeah, I'm excited about this future thing that and the future, all time exists at the same time. So the future is now. So I'm excited about exactly who I am and how I'm going to create another way to share that, right? That's what I'm excited about. Working with Tina, helping me hone some of those skills, like the gardening part I have down, but I have never taken care of stuff like chickens. And so learning that part, and Tina being on this journey, and I'm out her on this in front of everybody, and she's not even here to defend herself. So Tina is working on sharing her farm and her lifestyle with people. The name of her farm is Henderson Highlands. That's the name of it. It's been the name forever and ever and ever. So she's going to be creating some content around Henderson Highlands, and I am in love with what she's doing, right? So she is working on her gardening plan and sharing what goes into the planning for all of that. She raises chickens for eggs. She keeps chickens for eggs. She raises chickens for meat. We absolutely are going to be doing a 6-2 retreat. That was in the back of my mind, but now you have given me my sacral confirmation. There is, what else does she do? Oh, and this year she is raising 2 steer for beef, one of which her family keeps, the other one they raise, and then they sell off, and that offsets the cost of the one that they're keeping. She makes bread. I mean, this is a woman who can make her own hot dog buns. I don't even understand how that's possible, but that's just because I've never done it, right? So her starting to share like how she lives and her connection to nature, and me kind of meeting that at a place where we make that opportunity more and more and more available to women in urban settings, women at the lower earning end of the spectrum. Definitely, no, I have to correct myself really quick. Let me correct myself really quickly, because I work with women and men, and so I need to be very mindful. And I'm going to say it right here and right now, because I know there's a person who's recently joined the group whom I completely adore. And they are at liberty to share their pronouns and the way that they would like to be addressed. And I am open and inclusive in this group. And so if you see me getting off center, because it's more habitual for me to talk about things in this way, call me on it. Call me on it, because this is about families, and families don't always look like a mom and a dad and some kids. Sometimes families are two moms, sometimes families are no moms and two dads, sometimes families are a dad. This space, it is important to me that it is very inclusive, that it includes people who are Black, Indigenous, people of color, people who are bi, trans, whatever. I am about helping humanity, and so I'm calling myself on my shit that I just said, that I didn't mean to come across in the way that I felt like I was hearing it once it came out of my mouth. So just so that I'm clear, there are folks I'm inviting in to this group, and it's not like some super secret private group, but I do want people to be interested in learning about human design and sharing their experiences and giving to the other people in here and all of that, and that's important to me. But it is equally as important that this is an inclusive space, and that people feel seen and honored and respected because of all of those things, and if they're a projector and they need that. So anyway, that's my aside, because I felt that. And so I needed to stop myself right there and fix me. See, it's a process. It's a process. So yes, a 6-2 retreat. Definitely. Because and the fun in that is, it's not just, generators or manifesting generators. It could be projectors, it could be reflectors, it could be manifestors, and being able to be in a space where you work through some of the on the roof, off the roof things, as well as understanding the unique role that the 6th line is playing in this next evolutionary shift. So there's that. So, I think that's all the things to share. I hope if you are watching this on the replay, you've watched it to the end and you have seen me correct myself, and I'm gonna work on that. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Anita, get on that. Better than I got on my journaling. So, are there any other questions? Now that I'm, off of my disc of insanity. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Yay for the mountains. Okay. So if there are no other questions, again, learning about who you are. I am. I got my journal right here. No need to get sassy. It's about learning how to engage in life and create an environment around you that really serves you and your highest good. And when you do all of that and all of those things fall into place, I mean, can we do the money mindset work? Absolutely. Can we do the emotional clearing work? Absolutely. Can we do the business strategies that honor your human design? Absolutely. We can do all of that. But I don't want you to pigeonhole this into oh, it's just, if I learn this, I'm going to do this in business. Oh, if I learn this, I'm going to, get this kind of relationship. It's so much more to how you can live and engage with life. Oh, currently I have 7 spots left in my 1-to-1, which is a 6-week one-on-one. You're going to get your PHS info, working on where you're conditioned, where you need to work through those issues, your whole human design thing. And that is $555 for 6 weeks, one-on-one, all the support you need. So that's the main one I have right now, and that was open to 10, down to 7 spots. And then I have, and I'll find some links, but I'll have to get on a computer and not on my phone. Then I have, I do solar return readings. Now, I absolutely positively adore a solar return reading because it gives you the theme of energy and what your lessons and interactions are going to be like for the year, right? So giving you a backdrop from which to understand what's coming your way. That's still available because I've really toned down the number of things I'm offering. So it's working with me one-on-one 6 weeks, $555. It's getting a solar return reading, which if you understand human design, you understand you have a conscious and an unconscious side. So it is suggested and recommended that you get it up to 3 months before your birthday, because that's when you will begin to see that shift in energy and that energy presenting itself. Then there is PHS. So if you want to just do a dive into PHS, you can do that. And Penta work, which is family work. And I've done a couple of those recently, and that, for me, that is a lot of fun. To look at a family unit, see how it operates, help we'll call them parental figures, see how it works, and how to best serve the needs of the household. So Penta family work, PHS, solar return, and 6-week one-on-one. And in the 6-week one-on-one, you're getting several of my services rolled in over time that individually, what I'm doing the 6-week one-on-one for is about half of what each individual service would cost. And this, come here, and this is Chad. And so, this is my grandson, Chad. And Miss Anita is on here. You remember Miss Anita? You can't see her, but that's her little face right there in the circle. Can you say hello?
Hello.
So Chad's hanging out with me today, and he is doing amazing things with his Legos. And he actually uses Legos.
That's number block 9.
It's number block 9. He uses Legos for math, which is absolutely amazing. He watches a show on YouTube called The Number Blocks, and he uses them and he does math. And he's 5, and he's a super, super smart guy. And what else? He's a Manny Gen, and he has lots of Manny Gen energy. He does. Miss Anita says she's gonna call him a little
I
bit.
made 9 some legs.
He made 9 some legs. So if you've never seen number blocks, it is learning to count, and there's certain colors that go with the numbers, and so that's what he's done with his Legos. Is he's made the numbers and he can do math and lots of smart guy stuff. Okay, so let's put the legs on the bottom. On the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead. Ooh, Chatty, Nana is here. See, there's Nana right there. And she said, hi. Can you say hi, Nana?
Hi.
So here's his number block with the purple legs at the bottom. Here you go. Okay.
Wait, they're not purple. They're
So-
violet.
I'm sorry, they're not purple. They're violet. I was corrected by the violet. He's the one who notices things. If you haven't heard that story, I'll have to tell it again one day. But so yeah, so that's it. If you are interested in more work with me, one-on-one, 6 weeks, $5.55. If you need a payment plan, let me know. I do have that available. PHS readings, solar return readings,
Now
and
we put
family
legs on the different
consults.
numbers.
That's what I'm doing right now. That's it. So I'll drop a link. I love you guys. You will probably see me, since I'm off a lot this week, as you know, as the spirit moves me to share something, I will hop on and do that. But don't be afraid to reach out if you have questions or if you just want to chat. I will talk to you guys soon.